I'm Mel.
And I'm Mar.
And this is the Cerebral Sports Podcast. On the Cerebral Sports Podcast, we champion the mental development, wellness, and health of athletes, big, small, professional, and amateur.
Week to week, we'll have compelling conversations with athletes, coaches, parents, and mental health professionals to discuss their experiences and point of views as we work to bring awareness to the most vital muscle in an athlete's body, the mind.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another exciting episode of the Cerebral Sports Podcast. Of course, I'm your boy Mar. That's Mel. This week, we have a distinguished guest in the house, Mr. Brandon Bell. It's going to be an amazing interview, man. I'm very excited for this one, man. I've been watching this young man's career for a very, very long time, so it's dope to get connected with him. But before we get off into the interview, as you guys know, find us on all your podcast platforms, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment, feedback, whatever have you. We love having you guys as a part of our audience and our team. We all one family. So, again, one shout out to all of the people that tap in with us, listen, watch. We love y'all. But without further ado, today we have South Jersey legend, Mays Landing, more specifically, Oak Crest High School product. His name's still ringing bells, pun intended, in the pantheon of South Jersey's rich football history. A man who started all 4 years of varsity, becoming a rivalry and ESPN three-star recruit, finished his high school career with an impressive 308 tackles and over 1,000-yard rushing. So that's equivalent to like a basketball player being a two-way player. They can light you up on the offensive end and then get you on defense. Distinguished Penn State football alum, 3-year starter, 4-year OTF. That means on the field. They burned his red shirt up immediately because they needed him. You know what I'm saying? I heard they call him a man-child, so he came in there ready. One of the few men who could say that they were honored to rock the number 11 at Penn State, a la LeVar Arrington, NaVar Bowman, Micah Parsons, a man who led Penn State's hard-hitting, bone-bruising, and stingy defense to the 2016 Big Ten Championship with 13 tackles, a quarterback sack, and a forced fumble. Former NFL linebacker for the Cincinnati Bengals and Carolina Panthers, and the XFL linebacker for the Seattle Dragons. Now taking on the world of broadcasting, son of Eric and Monica Bell, baby brother of Erica and Keenan, Mr. Brandon Bell. Give it up for my man, Mr. Brandon Bell, joining the show today, man. What's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. Thank you. Shoot, we gotta give it up to you, man. That was a hell of an intro. I ain't gonna
lie. Did I miss anything, man? Is there anything I left out?
Nah. That was beautiful. You got the fam in there.
Yeah, man.
You know, got the hometown. That's two of the biggest things for me is what I rep, to the day I die. So, and then all the sports accolades, so that was great. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Now you had a great career, man. Like I said, we followed it from a distance, man. We football heads. We love football. I have much respect for that program, Penn State. Love the uniforms, just the kind of like plain, clean look, man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've been following, bro. So, salute to you. Thanks for joining, man. Go ahead, Mel. Kick it off.
Yeah, man. So also just talking it back, I remember hearing about you in the dorms when we played. Yeah. And sister coming up and telling us, my baby brother's nice. My baby brother's cool.
I remember that.
I said to myself, like, yo, he's nice. He coming here? She was like, nah, he's better than here. I'm like, that's good too. That's good.
Yo, Mel, I remember that. I definitely remember.
Yeah. She would tell us that. I'm like, all right. Then we started kind of she would show us like clips and stuff. I'm like, nah, yeah, he's nice. Like, he's going to be out of here. He's not coming here. He's going way, way over there. So it's exciting to, it was exciting to watch it, but it's also really, I'm really excited to kind of talk to you a little bit about everything, man. So to kick this thing off, man, we want to kind of start at the present, like what you're doing right now, and then work our way back to like the past. So what is Mr. Brandon Bell, the former football player, doing with himself right now?
Yeah, man. So, first, shout out to Lil E, my big sister. Definitely my biggest fan. Even if she doesn't quite know what's going on the football field, as far as in between the lines, she gonna yell and scream my name no matter what. So, big shout out to her. But yeah, nowadays, man, like you said, done playing, late, hung up the cleats. And I'm thankfully, very, very busy. A few years ago when I was finishing up, it was a little slow. Life was just slow, not much going on. And I pray for days like this. I try to remind myself. So, nowadays I'm working with the NBA on the broadcast side. You guys mentioned kind of this, the job title or the role is a plethora of things. it's kind of not just one thing, but in a simple way I can say it, we help liaison the NBA and the TV networks. So when we watch games, you guys watch games on ESPN, TNT, ABC, NBA TV. You know, we're the in between of making sure things go smoothly and the operation is clean. So it's kind of cool. It's a different role, but I mean, my true, I guess, post-career position is just a producer, you know, and that's what I'm trying to, you know, dive deeper into. I've worked with the NFL Films the last 2-3 years before switching over to NBA this most recent year. And then outside of that, my partner and I, we started up Act Sports Group, which is, you know, a sports marketing agency. We help represent a few college athletes, you know, in the world of NIL, which I'm sure you guys are well aware of now and would love to, you know, just like me, been born a little later to tap into that.
You would have been sitting pretty.
Yes. Yeah, it would have been nice. So yeah, but that's why, you know, I enjoy that, you know, helping, you know, the creative side of that, directing shoots and our commercials and social media and things of that nature, and just helping, and also just helping kids, you know, figure out life, because, you know, as we know, young, you're thinking about ball, that's kind of all you're thinking about, but you know, it's never too early to start getting some other things in order. So that's what I take pride in. And then just, you know, my own creative endeavors, podcasting, you know, social media, I'm in a space now of just wanting to create. So like when you all hit me up, I'm like, oh, bet, let's do it. You know, no second thought, really. Let's run it. That's my mantra right now. It's just like all gas in this art media space, all gas, no brakes. Let's do it.
Yo, man, we appreciate you jumping right in without hesitation, man, for sure. And it's also really cool to see how your evolution is coming along, right? You had mentioned it when you're playing, that's all you're thinking about is playing. And then once it all stops, you do kind of have to slow down to kind of figure it out and let God work its way, let him work his job and do what he needs to do. And it seems like you're in a decent space right now. But if you could pick, let's say 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, what is your goal? What do you want to do now, right? When you're playing ball, you know, elementary, you had a goal of playing in the league, which you accomplished. What is your goal right now? What are you looking to kind of get to?
Yeah, man, I'd say my goal right now, like you said, 10, 15 years down the line, is to be operating in a space to, you know, win Emmys, you know, whether it's on the sports side and or the creative side. Like I really want to dive deeper into, you know, film altogether, not just sports film, music, even production, you know, maybe if it's even running my own production company and building that up from the ground, or it's with the NBA or NFL or, you know, some, you know, agency or film crew, something of that matter. But really looking to kind of, you know, take over this producer, director kind of world.
That sounds like a plan. I'm gonna let Mar kick real quick, but right before now, you mentioned it. What did you study at in school? What was your major?
Yeah, I was a communications major, so it definitely does fit. You know, what I went to school for. You know, I kind of fell back on that. It's what I always, you know, had my second passion, what I call it. Like I said, it was always ball, sports. But, you know, I was in the media club, taking all the media classes in high school. I really loved it, really had fun. You know, back then we were just picking up the camera, doing silly stuff. But in the world today, like I always mess with my boys, like, yo, we would have kept up our little YouTube thing back when we was in high school. It was right before it kind of like took off. And, you know, you never know. I mean, it was silly, dumb stuff, but I mean, ultimately, that's all it still is.
Yeah, 100%.
We had a show as well, Jamel and I, on campus.
Okay. See, yeah.
We had a show on campus called, what was it again?
Campus Q&A.
Wow.
Wow. You got banned.
Walk around on Thursday when everybody's drunk, ask them crazy questions.
Right.
We had the school TV station, and so they used to run it. So we be in the cafeteria, and me and Mel on the TV.
Right.
Saying like, and people loved it, but we just, you know, we came around too early, man. Like our birthdays. And so here we are again, man. And you know,
that's all that matter.
Indeed. And to that point, man, what brought me and Mel together was football, you know, and that's also what's kind of bringing us together today is football. And it's really a sport that can, you know, consume you. And I'm sure you've experienced that. I know Mel has, you know, but how did you get the football bug? How did you get that? I mean, you come from a basketball family. Your big sister, she was a hooper, she could ball. And then your pops, he led the Atlantic City High School to the state championship in 1976. So how you skip football? How you skip basketball and go to football? How that happen?
Yeah, shout out to Big E. That's Pops, Atlantic City legend, you know. But yeah, so like you said, grew up in a basketball family through my dad, my sister. I remember taking those treks up to CW Post. And well, before that, taking her through the AAU circuit. I was just a young buck in the car, just tagging along, going up and down the East Coast, everywhere, staying in dorm rooms, college campuses. She was going through that grind. But honestly, I got the football bug. You mentioned my brother Keenan, middle child, my older brother. And honestly, I don't know how he got it because once again, I think my dad tried football once. He was like 8th grade and left it there for the rest of his life. But my brother fell in love with it somehow. And I remember following him and he was on Taxi Pee Wee. And I was like 4, right before the age I could start just running around the football field. It's probably my earliest memories before actually playing, just getting dirty, just the little kid running around while the parents watching the other kid at practice. And, you know, following the big bro, that was, you know, that's what you do as a young buck. You know, you want to do everything he did type of thing. So got into it by the time I was 5. First year I was ready to sign up. I signed up for Mays Landing Lakers. Shout out to the Lakers. Taxi. I think they had me at like center and guard, but I was just happy to be out there and shoot 20, well, I was 5 years old, 20, 22 almost years later, just kept going for the rest of my life. It was football every year.
Oh man, wow! And was your brother Keenan? Did he have as an illustrious career as you did in football in his high school days, or did he keep with it?
I say he'll be the first one to tell you he was a knucklehead. He was one of those dudes I'm sure y'all I went to school with who had all the athletic ability in the world. Yeah. And it's funny because I got more of my dad's size and bulk. Gotcha. But my brother got the like the real athleticism. He was a high jumper, talking about track field. He played football too, outside linebacker, safety. But this is a dude that was like dunking when he was in, mind you, he's like 5'11", 5'10", 8th grade, probably like 5'9", but he was dunking then, you know, fresh out of middle school. So that just to tell you the type of athleticism he had. But he played ball at Oak Crest as well. And maybe we'll get to this later, but my high school wasn't necessarily the prominent athletic, you know, domain. So he had some rough years on the football field as a team, but he was definitely a standout player. And he'll first want to tell you if he could have took things a little more serious, he definitely could have played ball at the college level, as CW Post, Villanova type of level for sure.
Got it. Yo, talking about Oak Crest High School, man, it kind of leads right into it. It's perfect segue. You know, what was your high school experience like? You know, when did you realize like, all right, yeah, I'm really like that, and I'm definitely going to take it to the next level? How was your high school career, man?
Yeah, like I said, so coming out of 8th grade or middle school is probably when, like I said, my sister was bigging me up there, and I was like a big deal on a little league hype. You know, we had a lot of buzz. My team was good. The Lakers were good. 8th grade. And so that brought a lot of attention of what's he going to do for high school. And in my area, Mays Landing, Atlantic County, it's more of the Catholic schools get a lot of the buzz. You know, North Jersey, it's the same thing. You got Bosco and all that. That's where the Jersey football like hype comes from. South Jersey, it's like the Catholic schools, especially my part. So public schools weren't getting any love. And Oak Crest was definitely, you know, everybody will tell you it was at the bottom of that list of the public schools. So, but Mays Landing always produced talent no matter what. Like the little league teams were always great, just as players usually, you know, dispersed and went elsewhere along the around the county. So I had those opportunities too, but you know, I saw what my brother did, my sister did, and then ultimately I was like, look, I'm gonna go ball out, and also I just want to be with my friends. You know, I wasn't that mature, that young either.
Gotcha.
So it was a little rough. You know, we had Oak Crest always kind of had a revolving door of coaches. My first coach freshman year coming in, Coach Parker, he was my brother's coach for about 2-3 years. They had someone else before. Had him my freshman year, and then a new coach, Coach Smith, Chuck Smith, came over from Mainland, who was typically a very good program for a public school. And he came over, took over the helm, and that kind of changed everything. You know, we had immediate success. My sophomore year, that first year, we went to the state chip. We broke all kind of records. You know, Oak Crest records, we hadn't really had that much success in the past. First playoff victory. farthest we went to the state championship. But Jersey is a little different. They only do there's 20 state championships, but we went to our Group 4 state championship. And honestly, that year was what kind of put me on the map, I'd say, for recruiting. I was starting outside linebacker, split time at running back. And mind you, at that time, I thought I was going to be an all-pro Adrian Peterson type running back coming out of Little League, because that's
I peeped the jersey number too.
You know what I mean? That's what I thought I was going to be. And I wound up splitting time at running back my sophomore year. I thought that was going to be my big year, but it was all good. We had a lot of success, but the defense is where I stood out the most. And lo and behold, after that championship run, that next, off-season spring is when those little kind of college letters started to come in. And I think that's when I first was like, okay, wow, this is real. Coming from the town where I come from, I'm not going to say it's the gutter, but you just don't, I hadn't seen that success. Other towns had guys going D1 and stuff like that. But from Maysland and Oakcrest especially, and mind you, we had the Birds back in the day, but that's before my time. I hadn't seen it, so I didn't even know what that was even capable. I love college football, but I didn't necessarily see it. Yeah, it's just a representation. You don't know what you don't necessarily see. Right. But once those letters started to come in, I was like, okay, wow, this is kind of legit. But it was just the preliminary letters, just nothing really. It was pretty vague now that I know how it goes. Mm-hmm. Then the next year it got kind of personal. You're getting coaches' handwritten letters, and then they're calling and things like that. Come to a camp. And my junior year was after? Before my junior year. No, after my junior year, training. I remember I got the first call from Northwestern University out the blue. I had never received a letter, no love from them. They called me up, offered me my first full ride scholarship. And I never forget. I was leaving a training session out of Galloway, going over to stop by my sister crib, Erica. I think I had to take out her dog or something like that. I used to do. Mm-hmm. And I stopped right in the parking lot. I was like, oh shoot. And I don't know who I called first. Probably maybe my mom, my dad. I don't know, but maybe my brother even. I don't know. It was hype. And then after that first one hit, news got out. Boom. Yeah. Then they started coming in every other week, every week. Boom, 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 boom. And that's when it first kicked off for sure.
Okay. So take us through that, man, the recruiting process. Now, you don't tell us every school that recruited you, right? But what was your top 5 schools of where you wanted to go, and then what offers you got?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say I wasn't a huge recruit. Like you guys said, I was a 3-star at the time. I'm not diminishing it, but I probably had about 20 offers altogether, which nowadays, these 5-stars got the whole entire country. I didn't have the whole entire country. I had, at the time, the Big East, Rutgers, Maryland, who else in there? UConn, West Virginia. I had some schools from the ACC and not really any SEC. I had some conversations. A lot of SEC schools wanted me to come to camp and check me out a little bit more type of deal. Mm-hmm. But then once the Big Ten, Northwestern kicked it off, a couple other Big Ten schools, and then once Penn State came, honestly, I tell people I wasn't even a Penn State fan. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Okay.
Keeping it real. I wasn't like people that grew up, I want to go to Penn State. I was a fan of a lot of schools, the schools that were hype, back then as a kid, the U, yep. Shoot, Virginia Tech was popping, Ohio State, a lot of Penn State fans are here, hate to hear me say, but the flashy schools is what I was a fan of. Of course. But when it came down to it, honestly, it was Penn State, Northwestern, and Rutgers, to be honest. And I could probably rotate any last 2 or 3 to cap off the top 5, but the interest wasn't really real, I'd say.
Got you. And Penn State at the time was kind of going through the back end of some turmoil, right? It was a little rough spot there.
100%.
What made you take that decision? I'm going here. This is where my career is going to take off.
Man, I give a lot of props to my dad. Sitting me down, and mind you, he don't know nothing about college football, barely football at all. But when it came down to it, I knew that I could still accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish at a program, at a university with Penn State, regardless of everything that was going on. And lo and behold, I did just that by the grace of God. And, and it just, I mean, honestly, like I said, small town, people didn't really care about football. We weren't necessarily great, or we weren't good. Didn't have a lineage of football. So when I took the first trip up there and they telling me you on TV every week, I'm like, okay. In front of 100,000+, I'm like, okay, like this is a football town.
Yep.
And then you add on the education, which was still important to me as a kid. My parents in my ear about that. My mom's educator, sister educator. So education, the network, which I'm finding out more now at this age, almost 10 years out of school, the network, the strongest network, those things are what kept me kind of on that path. And I'm grateful for it.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. And one thing that you're saying that's standing out to me is that networking part, because I work in corporate America. I've worked for numerous big companies, and it's funny how people click up when you get to a company and it's like, oh, you went to Michigan or you went to Penn State. I think at my current company, there's a couple Penn Staters that's clustering together right now, and they flaunt that,
Right.
And I went to LIU. What's up? You know what I'm saying? So that great decision, man. Obviously, great career. So about your career, right? You arrive as a freshman at Penn State, your first fully padded practice. Do you remember that? And do you remember what was going through your mind, or what that experience was like for you? What was that like for you?
Yeah, man, I do. And I've a few people know this. I don't think I've publicly said it on any platforms, but I mean, I think you brought me on mind to it when you mentioned the OTF and on the field, my playing career. It wasn't always sunny, man. Like, that first camp was rough for your boy. Like, I honestly, that was the first time any doubt slid in my mind. And, it was a tough go because you running with some big boys. Like, I wasn't in a great strength program in high school. We had a program, but nothing spectacular. And you get in there with grown men, dudes 22, 23. And I was, because of the sanctions and everything, I was right in the mix. Like, I was 2 on the depth chart with a lot of almost all linebacker positions. So on top of the physicalness, just the education and the X's and O's of it, I'm trying to take in all this, process all this information. And then it's like, okay, first day of pads, now you got to go apply it, go head up. And they definitely tested me. And, it was many, that first camp was long. I was very much ready to I don't know if I'm meant for this, A lot of people don't know that because on the outside, I'm always walking with confidence, but it was rough for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I found out that they call you the man child. Your sister was telling me they call you the man. You was always such a big kid. You know what I'm saying?
In high school as a young buck. But then, I'm saying college, like everybody's big, bro. You're definitely not the biggest no more. I turned into an undersized linebacker in 2 months by the time I left high school.
That's so crazy, man. So how did you deal with that adversity or that challenge mentally? What did you lean on? What kind of, what did you use, or who did you use to make it through that self-doubt?
Man, definitely the people around me, teammates. I remember talking to a few of the older head linebackers like Mike Hall, Glenn Carson, another South Jersey guy coming out of Southern. And those were kind of the OGs running the show. And I remember talking to them like, yo, like, just like, get on me, I almost feel better about y'all getting on me than I got to hear it from the coach, later on. Like, if you see something on the field, get on me. And then my brother, like I said, that was the kind of only football family member that I had. And obviously looking up to him and just telling him, and, family is like, there's no excuses. Like, bro, nut up. Like, it don't matter. I don't really care what you got to say, what's going on. You there for a reason, show out. And obviously it took some time. And then also just falling back and kind of not getting away from football, but just being a student and taking in the college experience kind of helped, like it made me take my mind off a little bit. Like, okay, let me just breathe. I'm smart. I know how to do this. Let me just go do it. And then that's when it starts to slow down and if things start to click.
That's amazing, man. It sounds like you have a great foundation, a great sense of self. During that time, with your sense of self, did you expect to play as a freshman?
I really didn't. outside of, like I said, I was number 2 on the depth chart, a lot of positions. But outside of that, I really didn't, because, like, once again, I physically didn't feel like I was ready. And that's the one thing I almost sometimes look back like, damn, if I could have redshirted, got my body really right and ready. But at the same time, experience is the best teacher. And that's why once I was on the field, every second, every snap was just, building up the repertoire of just knowing, just balling, really, just getting a feel for it, getting the speed down. So then that sophomore year came, I was ready. I wanted it. And I still had to necessarily earn my keep on the field, as far as, like, building my name. And once again, the more snaps I got, the more opportunity and the more chances to make plays, and I make those plays. And then kind of, it snowballed into being a leader of the defense.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, man. So you get it your sophomore year. Let's fast forward to your senior year. You're doing well. You're starting to get some NFL scouts coming around. You're on the draft board a bit. You guys open up week 1 against Kent State, right? You have an interception. You guys win that game. You do really, really good. Next week is your rival Pitt. You have a great game, a bunch of tackles, but you suffer a little bit of a knee injury, right? Or was it a knee injury? Or you suffer, what did you hurt?
Quad injury. Quad injury. Yeah, that was tore my quad that game. And being a tough guy, I came back in the game. At the time, we didn't know what it was, but, like, it wasn't my knee. Mm-hmm. It wasn't ACL or nothing. And I had never experienced that, but came back in, probably made it even worse. But yeah, that senior year was big, like you said, almost similar to high school when I started getting those letters. Mm-hmm. That summer, as the agents started reaching out, and that's the same kind of momentum. Like, okay, wow, this is real now. That next level is real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But at the same time, like, let me not worry about it. Let me just go ball out. I had a few agents give me, like, real, projections, which was good for me. Like, I'm not a bona fide anything with a super solid year as possible. But I put that on hold and let me just go ball out. Let me focus on winning, having fun, enjoying my last year of college. And that suited me well until, like you said, that injury came, and, man, that was tough. Then we lost the game on top of that. Mm-hmm. Season's not looking too bright. My personal season's not looking too bright. And that was definitely a tough go. Wound up being out, I think, 4 weeks with that quad. Was supposed to be out really the rest of the season. I think it was grade 2, what they called it. And, I mean, you mentioned earlier the grace of God. I'm a man of faith. My sister definitely still dead. My family. Grace of God, I was able to come back in 5 weeks, right after the bye week, with that bye week we had, to the Ohio State game, which was a legendary one for sure.
Now, I want to go back to the injury real quick, because I think a lot of athletes, they go through it, especially with high expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Senior year, it's your last go round. Everyone wants to have a great senior year, right? It's the last time. You get injured. What do you do for those 5 weeks? Like, what, aside from rehab, what's going on with you? How you feeling?
Man, it was tough. I remember. I think we got back. We had to take a bus back to Penn State too. That was rough, just cause, like, my leg is throbbing. Yep. I'd never seen my leg, like my quad, like that, super swollen, black and blue. I remember getting the first X-ray or MRI done, and they told me what it was looking like. Like I said, I got that 8 to 10 week, first diagnosis, and as a kid, I didn't drop down, but, like, I almost felt like I just got shot. Like, oh, what are you telling me? My senior year is over? Right. I remember calling my brother. That's the first one I called. And I was on my way to Chick-fil-A. I drove myself to Chick-fil-A, ordered hella food, like, on some depressed.
I would eat through this one.
I was in the drive-thru with him on the phone. But, I after that, maybe 2 days of, like, a little low, just got back to it, because life don't stop. Still got to go to school. Still got to do this. Still got to be at practice. Once I got into the rehab process of just doing what I could, that's kind of all I tried to focus on. And then relying on God, man. Joel, we had a pastor there, kind of in-house pastor. His name was Joel. A lot of sessions with him. And then my own personal readings. And kind of that's probably first time as a young adult that I dove into, like, my spirituality myself, not just, like, going to church and listening to somebody else. Really reading on my own, and really found solace in that. and I never forget. It was a game we had, a home game. I'm out. Who was it against? I think it might have been the Minnesota game because it was a big game. And for whatever reason, I already knew I wasn't. It might have been the first. Matter of fact, it might have been the first game that I couldn't play after that injury. And we're in the hotel and we're doing our thing, a typical routine. We watch a little video, hype video, this and that as a team. Just people talk. And I never forget, it just hit me like, damn, I'm not about to play. And at the time, my senior year is over. And I remember I walked out the room, broke down in tears, right? It's hit me. I'm running in front of all these people, the whole team. So I just walked out. And I never forget, my mom called me at that, literally when I was in the hallway. And that just rung a bell to me, like, that ain't nothing but God. Like, somehow she knew I was just like hurting. She calmed me down and she sent me a song, like, listen to this. What's the song? I gotta find it now. James Worthy, I believe is who it was.
Okay.
No, not James Worthy. I gotta find it. I can't think of the dang. But it goes like, I'm wiser, I'm stronger.
Yeah, I know that song. I'm better, so much better.
I'll get it to you guys later, but that song, I mean, I remember downloading it and it still helps me to this day. And that rung bells and kept my spirits up. And then, like I said, kept up with the rehab process. Grace of God, 4 weeks later, I was back in pads.
Yo, that's crazy because to get a diagnosis 8 to 10 weeks, I mean, yo, like, you a strong cat. I would have lost it. Senior season, we just, I'm meeting with agents. Like, I'm like, we about to get one again. Same kind of trajectory from high school. Like, yo, I'm the guy that they sleep on, but then when I show up, they wake up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's about to happen again. And then 8 to 10 weeks, man, coming back to 5, that's phenomenal. Definitely, aided by your faith and divine intervention for sure. At any point, were you thinking medical redshirt?
Honestly, at the time, I wasn't. I mean, that probably would have been an easy solution, but like, it just hit me all at the same time. Like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I'm tired of school. I'm trying to be done. The NFL, I'm trying to go.
Yeah, for sure.
That's who this one was. James Fortune, I Trust You. This is a song, I Trust You. And that's what it was. Just, talking to God like, yo, I know this not what I wanted, but I trust you and whatever my journey is going to be. And that definitely helped me.
That's amazing. That journey in 2016, it definitely had a lot of ups and downs and adversity. Even Coach Keaton's job coming under question. There was some struggles going on, some tough losses, but you guys end up upsetting second-ranked Ohio State, humongous classic game. And then you guys will ultimately win the Big Ten championship versus Michigan State. You had 13 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, as I mentioned earlier. Is there something you did or practiced during the season to like keep you focused and head down during that tough season? I know you had the injury, but as far as like the on-field performance, the wins, the struggles on field, what did you lean on to kind of like, lead your team, lead your defense to push through and, ultimately get to a major championship?
Good question. I think just leaned on, honestly, just the one day mentality, one day at a time mentality. And with that, it comes with everything, which is something that probably reflects more on what's needed in my life now. It's just, like you said, a lot going on, a lot of expectations, a lot of, chatter about this. And then obviously not necessarily going undefeated anymore. That's out the window. Things weren't looking great because we had the goal of winning the Big Ten championship from the jump. That was a big thing going into that season too. The leadership, including myself, some of the other seniors and older guys, just like actually my boy Naeem Wortman, out of Philly, coaching at Akron right now with the D line. Naeem Wortman, he was like my OG. He brought me in on my recruiting visit and wound up being great teammate. He was going through a lot of his own personal injuries and his journey was tough, which I took to heart and was like, a lot of players did in that team. He tore his ACL that year. And I think he tore the year before as well. So it was like, dang, like Naeem's got a tough go. We definitely got to just soak up every moment. But earlier in that summer, he brought up like, yo, why aren't we not talking like this? Why are we acting like we scared to talk about what we want? And from that day, we kept going like, yo, we want to be a champion. Every day it was like, speaking into existence type of thing. So yeah, when obviously during the season, it's like, dang, we were talking all this. It's not looking too great, but falling back on it, let's just handle one thing at a time. Like, look, let's just say October, 3rd, 4 weeks are already passed. That's that. What are we doing today? And whether it's practice, school, study hall, lunch, how can we maximize each moment? And then just kind of just having fun, like controlling what we can control and being a college student / football player. Because that's what I, relied on, is try not to get too uptight. I'm a leader at the time. I don't want to be uptight. That's naturally not who I am. And to reflect that to the team, like, yo, we're good. We just got to, hone in, focus on this, and this, and then go out there and just fly around, play ball like we know how to do. And I think that's what definitely helped. Even though the Ohio State game leading up to that was like, yeah, we're the underdog, but we got nothing to lose. Like, let's just go out there and ball. Like they're number 2 in the country.
Yeah,
we know we can beat them. We know, that it ain't about a talent thing. Yeah, they may have more 5 stars than we do, but it's the talent gap ain't ever as big as people think in college football. It's just without the confidence, it is. But when you got confidence, I say this on every platform, you got confidence to a young man, it can go a long, long way. And that's in life, in any aspect, I'll say. So yeah, just falling back on that one thing at a time. Next thing you know is, one good practice, 4 good practices leads up to a good game. That's 1 week down. Then it's 3 weeks down. And the next thing you know, we won the last, whatever it was, 6, undefeated at home that year, which is the biggest thing I carry with me. And then it's like, oh shoot, we in a position to, obviously things fell in our favor the way Michigan, Ohio State finished off, but we control what we control, and then boom, we got a chance to play in the Big Ten title.
That's amazing, man. You dropping gems, man, for the listeners. Going through adversity, that confidence, man, to take you a far, far way, man, because being in your own mind, lacking confidence, it never helps anything.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever helps. So kudos to you for that.
I also think he talks to them about being mindful, man. A lot of the stuff you're saying is like being present.
Yeah.
Not worrying about going so far ahead, but let me just take care of this right now.
And being a student, getting away, for sure.
Yeah.
And your leadership quality, you're calm. You know what I mean? Like no one wants a captain that's
right.
Everybody else uptight. You sit there in the locker and start talking like that. I'm gonna be like, all right, we all right. We'll get this done. But yeah, so you finish off your career in college. Now we're at the draft board time, right? You know that you're projected. Do you know where you were projected at that moment in time?
Yeah, pretty much. With the way my college career ended with another injury, we spoke about the first injury. Mm-hmm. My last college played a Rose Bowl. What'd I do? I dislocated my elbow.
It was an elbow.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't even know that. I don't think scouts and anyone knew exactly what it was. College rules are so different. Like, they don't have to put anything on the injury report. So yeah, when I finished my career on another injury, my main thing was like, even that was another time of like, damn, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be ready to play. And luckily, grace of God, again, it wasn't a severe injury, but my whole combine prep, draft day, pro day prep was, behind the 8 ball due to injury, in a sense. And I was able to heal up and perform, which I, once again, thank God for, because it wasn't looking too bright at one point. But with that being said, yeah, I knew I wasn't high on the draft boards. My agent at the time, I'm thankful he wasn't blowing steam up, blowing smoke up on my name. So I knew it was going to be, uphill battle as far as just getting an opportunity. With the injuries, wasn't invited to the combine. And in a way, I was almost thankful because that's like where they really pick your body apart.
Yep.
But I was able to have a good pro day. And honestly, based on some relationships, And that's another key gem as an adult. You guys know the relationships where you build. I had no idea at the time, but building some relationships with some of the coaches that were in our building got my shot in the league going undrafted.
So the draft day, you're there with your family. Did you watch the draft? Were you sitting at home chilling? Like, what was the vibe like on that whole the draft day?
Yeah, we got my family together in my aunt's crib. Nothing too crazy, but we were together in hopes that I get a call day 2, day 3, and it was a little rough. I ain't gonna lie. At the time, once again, I wasn't necessarily being told I was going to get drafted 5th, 6th, or even 7th round. It was hopeful. It was a possibility, yes. If any possibility on being drafted, it was in the 3rd day. But, I told myself I wasn't gonna, it didn't matter almost, and it didn't, because I didn't get a call, and, family consoled me and everything was all Gucci. But, I got the call at the end of the night for the undrafted free agent, which obviously was the highlight of my night. That day 3, and I remember they faxed over paperwork later on, and my aunt had gave me a pen on my national signing day to sign at Penn State. I remember I used the same pen to sign that contract, so it was a cool moment.
That's
regardless.
Awesome. So you get signed to that undrafted free agent contract with the Bengals. What was that like? How did you feel when you arrived there? Similarly to when you arrived at Penn State. Now you're not coming from a high school program. Now you're Penn State, being in great strength and conditioning program. Like, you got it together. You got it all here too. So how did you feel, about your opportunity or your chances when you got into the building in Cincinnati?
Yeah, man, I felt good. I felt good. Once again, similar to that high school transition. Opposite what you said, I almost still felt like I wasn't ready because of the injury I'm coming off of. I didn't feel as strong as I maybe thought I should have been. And then leading into that, it's still the first snaps I ever had, that whole mind block of coming off an injury. Like, they talk about an ACL. Year 2 of ACL is always better recovery because you're not thinking about it anymore. I'm still in the mind like, I haven't played football since early first day of January. And my last play was my elbow went backwards and popped out. So my confidence wasn't as high as I would have liked it to be, but I went into it with a mentality like, look, I got to learn this, because that's almost the toughest part. The physical part, obviously, it's grown men, it's faster, and you kind of get that sense, although you haven't felt it, but that's coming. The mental aspect is what's really challenging. Is like, they throw this whole playbook at you, 100 pages, whatever it may be. A thick playbook is like, nah, we need you to get this down by like 2 days. Because on Wednesday, we're installing, we're running this stuff. And as a linebacker, you're expected to know the calls, run the calls. That was the most challenging part. That kind of took the most adjustment, I'd say.
Bro, people talk about football players like, oftentimes, jocks, not smart, this and that. You got to be smart to be able to adjust all of that. And that amount of time, man. Like,
that's why they say people say 80% mental, 20% physical, whatever numbers you want to use. It is more mental than physical. The physical has to be elite, but the mental has to be, especially at least at certain positions, has to be elite.
Sure, for sure. So ultimately, that situation in Cincinnati, you're there for a year, you end up getting cut, right? There's a story around when that happened, where you were when that happened. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, you talking about the first round? The first time I got cut, like that first training camp?
It might be the first, it might be the second.
Okay, if you're talking about the first one, made it to the last final round of cuts, got cut. They wanted me back for practice squad. Long story short, I stayed, didn't sign anywhere else. And then that year went on. I think you're talking about the second round where.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I got cut the first year, brought back to practice squad. I was on practice squad till about the end of the season, was able to play. Signed me up. That was my first snaps NFL. So going into the offseason, I'm thinking like, okay, now I'm really ready to take over. felt like I had a really great training camp, competing for like promising snaps, get cut again. And this time I'm feeling like slightly jaded because, like I said, it's different now to where it's like, nah, I know my shit. I'm doing this, physically ready, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they wanted me up to like 245, 250. Mind you, I was a 230 linebacker, bulked up, all this and that. So like I'm feeling ready. I'm stronger. You know, this is the point in time where they say a lot of players make the biggest jump because, you know, a young man is still getting that grown man strength at 22, 23, whatever it may be. And I know how training camp's gonna go and this and that. Long story short, get cut again. I'm feeling jaded, but they bring me back. So yeah, I get cut, drive back to Cincinnati. Drive back from Jersey to Jersey from Cincinnati. And I'm back home training for like 4 or 5 weeks. And I'm on my way to a training session. And that's when I get a call like, blue, 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 yo, want you back. And this is the part of like the business side is like, you can't be jaded because I'm not going to say no. Like, so I turned the call right back around. Like, yeah, we need to get you on a flight, you know, tonight. I'm like, oh, shoot, okay. Turn around, pack my bag, dip set out of there. And they signed me back. And then I played the rest of the year. And then that's when Coach Marvin got fired. And so new coaches came in, Coach Zach Taylor, that's there now. And this might have been the one you're talking about too. I got cut at my cousin's wedding.
This is the one.
I forgot about here. This is the one. Did OTAs, feeling good, ready to compete. Like, yo, I think, you know, this is going to be the year, really. Only thing, new coaching staff, so, you know, they don't really know your body like, you know, X, Y, and Z. But I feel like I made a good impression. But obviously not good enough. And I really felt jaded because I thought I would at least get a chance to compete in training camp. If training camp came down and they still wasn't rocking with me, that's okay. That would have felt better. Getting cut OTAs or after spring ball, I really felt jaded. But yeah, I took a weekend to my cousin's wedding, having a grand old time. And I think the night before they called me. And, you know, it's just a testament to who I am. It's like, I'm gonna just keep pushing regardless. I didn't really let it get to me. And I still had a great time at my cousin's wedding. Thankful for
that. That's what I come to find out. My man get cut and they like he partying like nothing happened. And he nobody. I'm like, yo, that's different.
Yeah.
This man has a different spirit and his ground. Bro, I would have got up out of there. I'd have been like, yo, cuz, look, there's a car. Oh, man, I'm upset. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's why, like, I take it in my life now, and the you know regular world, corporate America, whatever. It's like, ain't nothing. Like, my spirit can't be broke, no matter what. And that's, you know, you learn that through trials and tribulations, and you know that's the way I move now. Like, look, what's meant for me is meant for me, and I'm just keep charging to the game, keep pushing forward. Like, that's all I can do, really.
That's definitely gonna get clipped. And man.
It's something when you have a sense of calm to you, man. It's a special thing, and when you get there and you're there, your peace is what it's all about, man. You when you speak right now, man, you have such a aura to you.
For sure,
it's just like a peaceful, like cannot be disturbed, and I hope that you do a good job of protecting that peace, man, because there's a lot of outside distractions that they'll envy that and they'll try to interfere with that and make you become something that you're not, man. So I want to make sure you know, and the listeners, they can hear it. I know they'll be able to see it, man. You have such a beautiful spirit, man. So I'm really happy about this interview. But let's go back to the NFL and your career. Why do you think the NFL career went the way it did?
I'd say, well, one tidbit right before we get into this, going on what you just said, and I thank you for that. I mean, that's just who I am. It's always who I'm going to be. But as I've learned too, I had a coach, Paul Gunther for the Bengals. He mentioned this about, you know, being the duck. And I was like, oh, what's that mean? And he went into it, and it's just about, you know, a duck, they're in the pond. It's very majestic. They're smooth, like you said, calm. But underwater, it's like this. just to give a sense of, realistic, mentality to at least how I am. It's like, yes, I come off like that. And sometimes it's a detriment to me because people don't like understand that. Like, I don't always have it figured out, but I'm going to figure it out. And I know that. So it allows me to, in the midst of chaos, somewhat breathe. But, I think everyone's human to a sense of just like, this is how you handle it. So I just want to give that part out too. But, NFL career, I think going back to that confidence that I was talking on earlier, and I think that's why I feel so confident about talking about it, because I've been in both sides of like feeling like I can't do no wrong or I'm the man and I got this. And then I've had, realistic lows. Maybe people don't realize it from what I just said, but, I haven't always been on top. And I think that's where it comes from. And in that stage, there's really, from a guy like me going undrafted and X, Y, and Z, there's really no room for a lull, or the margin of error is very small to have it, put it that way. And, that's something I realized, and I know for a fact that, I could have done better on my end. I'm never the type of guy like, I've had teammates like, oh, nah, it was coaches. They ain't rock with me. It was this, it was politics. And I've come across all of those things that I'm not going to say they're all not true, but, I'm never, like I said, I charge it to the game. It's on me. And that's how I rock. And it's tough, man. I think when you go through many trials and tribulations, I think it takes away from the love of the game to a certain point. And once again, if you don't have that constant, like, get back on your feet, let's do it. It chips away a little bit. And like, once again, at that level, there's no really room for that. Unless, some people are truly God-gifted talents, which I'm able to acknowledge now too. Like, I was good and I was baller, all this. Some dudes are just like physically giftedly different. And that's a different story. They can, there's the margin of error is less, or larger, we'll say. For a guy like me, there was really no chance for or opportunity for me to like kind of, second guess it. You like I said, in my life now, I'm like all gas, and that's how you got to be. You just got to go. And it ain't going to be pretty all the time, but as long as you kind of know what you want, what you're going for, you'll be fine.
Got you.
Salute to that. Yo, Mel, hold on real quick. You're going to have to pause it and chop it. My shit about to die. This computer's stupid. I'm about to...
Mauling you up, baby.
Yeah, I know. All right, so you shared a lot about, what you've been through, how you handle it. And apparently you have a hashtag that you live by. It goes, why panic? When did you come up with that? What happened? Where was it? How did that come about?
Yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that back up. That came up during that my senior season. Like I said, that first injury tore my quad, and probably the first real dark time I had. Going back to that again, like I said, didn't know what it. Thought my senior season was over. Probably was panicking in a way, but thinking my dreams are over and things of that nature. And once again, like I said, that's when I really kind of delve into my spirituality a little more myself. And honestly, I heard that bar from, I love music. I think I mentioned that before, rapping, whatever. I heard a bar from Sci-Hi, the Prince.
Yeah.
And it's just why panic if this is how God planned it. And once again, in that moment, it just, I'm similar to that song by James Fortune. It just stuck with me and really kind of hit me like, yo, let me just control what I control. I know what I want, what I saw isn't what his plan is. His plan is his plan. I'm just really just following it. So that's where that came from. And it's just been with me the rest of my life. Like, there's no need to panic because, if you're a real believer, I know that my steps, my journey is guided. And I just got to trust and go with it.
Sure, man, for sure. I love that. So we're going to close out. We're going to do a little word association. So I'm going to say a name and you tell me what comes to mind.
Okay.
Right, Eric Bell.
Big E. I don't know if that works. I'll say character.
Monica Bell.
Strong.
Erica Bell.
What's the word I want to use? Trying to think of like I know what I want to say, but I don't know if it's an actual word. Proud.
Keenan Bell.
Coach. I always tell him he needed to stop playing and coach. Which he has. He's actually just started, but I think he'd be a great coach.
That's what's up. Michelle.
Ooh. Spine. It's my spine.
Penn State.
Iconic.
Football.
Life.
And then lastly, but of course not least, Brandon Bell.
Dang, just one word. Let me think.
It could be a word, it could be a phrase.
Say legendary.
Oh, legendary, man. I love that, man. Yo, for real, B, man. This is amazing, man. We really thank you for joining us, sharing your journey. I mean, you got a great story. And yo, it's only maybe a quarter of the way written. I mean, the rest of the story and the journey is going to be amazing as well. You know, I had this conversation with your sister, and you know, bro, me and your sister was on the phone for an hour, dog.
Right.
I mean, she was going on and on and on about you, but it wasn't like in a braggadocious way. It was in a way of, you know, she's just so proud of you, and you know, she says that you the baby,
yeah,
but you the leader. She's like, he's so wise. She was like, he came out like that. You know, he was always like a little man and just super mature. And you know, it got me so excited for this interview. I was excited originally, but after speaking to her, man, I was like, yo, wow, like I didn't know you.
Right.
And, like I didn't expect you to be necessarily like a man of faith, like such a, you know, grounded individual, so deep. And that's exactly what we need more of, you know, in athletes, especially, man. I mean, athletes a lot of times feel like they're special, they're different, they're above it. But just like that, man, it could be over. So you got to be, you know, you got to be developed overall as an individual. And that's really what we're kind of like trying to do here with sports, is helping athletes develop, you know, 360. It can't just be, I'm nice at ball. Like, you know, be nice at life if you really want to make it.
Yeah, that's a bar right there.
That one just came out, man. But thank you for joining us, Mel.
Nah, man, we spoke yesterday about the interview. You know, after he got off the phone with your sister, we sat back and we were kicking it. He was like, I'm really excited. I'm like, I'm excited too, man. But for you to come on and just share it and just give people not only just who you are as an athlete, but who you are as a person. You know, and Marlon said a lot of athletes, people look at us as just people who can do this or do that on the field, but behind that is so much more.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to share that, your trials, your tribulations, what you leaned on, your support system, your faith, your planning, you know, taking one step at a time. These are all the things that any young athlete or any old athlete needs to hear, right? Because there's so many roadblocks in life, man. And sometimes you're out there searching and knows who to go to or what to listen to. And we're just hopeful that, you know, this gets out there and anyone that may be experiencing some of the things that you went through, they can kind of lean on. And I also, you know, this is one of many. I think I would love to have you on, you know, quite a few times to touch on a few things that are going on in life, man, because your wisdom and the way you think, I think can really, really help a lot of people.
Bro,
let's do it, man.
This was therapy for me today. I'm trying to tell you, like when he's saying certain things, I'm like, yo, he's right. I'm like, why am I stressing anything at all, bro? Like, you know, so yeah, salute to you, man.
Nah, man, I appreciate it. Like you said, I jumped straight to it. This is right up my alley as well. That's what I'm trying to do. And And anytime I could surround myself, that's what I told myself like 3 years ago. Like, I had some important people tell me like, to say yes, just say yes. And that is true. But now I'm at a point where like sometimes you can't say yes to everything.
Right.
But when it comes to surrounding yourself and what you believe in and with people, like-minded people, it's a hell yeah, let's do it. So like you said, second guess. And that's why I gotta change my one word association to myself.
Go for it.
I said legendary. It might have been a little cliche. I just picked something. It gotta be real, just real. Because that's all I can be. That's all I know how to be in a world full of, which I'm sure y'all aware of, people being what they think they should be or being something to, whether it's garner more attention or garner something, it's just not real. And that's, everywhere I go, people are like, oh, you play football? Like, I would never guess. You seem like a regular person. And it's like, bro, I am a regular person. Everyone is a regular person, no matter what you do. But people, they don't see that. So and not that I'm trying to like push that narrative, but when people realize that, it comforts me that that's the word, associated. So
yeah, man, I respect that. And that's a great bar to end on. And before we get out of here, you did mention your sports marketing company. Tell people where they can keep up with you, find you, and connect with you.
Yeah, man, I'll plug my plugs. You can find me social media at __BBELL. That's B-Bell. Most people call me. You can follow Axe Media, Axe Sports Group, I should say, on IG and Twitter, or X, I should say. A Penn State podcast, The Pocket. You can follow State Media for all of that. And then my own personal podcast. But shoot, we got to, once again, this relationship just started, so it ain't ending no time soon.
Yep.
You can check me out, my own personal podcast at Play to Cut Podcast. Looking to build that up, like I said. And that's everything I got right now.
All right, yeah, man. Dope. And as you guys know, man, catch us on all your platforms, as I mentioned earlier, man. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon podcast, man. Keep up with us, like, subscribe. And this is a great episode. Thank y'all for joining us and tapping in, man. See y'all next week.